guys have heard of Harangue, right? Yeah! And he runs all the camp meetings there. So the tables have turned, Lunnart. I'd like to understand a little bit about how you got involved in Harangue originally.
To make a very, very long story short, we can say like this: in Sweden, this kind of dancing came around in the early 80s, and that was also the time when Harangue started. It started way back in 82, and at that time we were 25 people going there, and we had come in contact with an American instructor. His name was John Clancy. You have probably never heard about him, but he had been a dance teacher back in New York in the 40s, 50s. So, because we learned to know him, he was the reason for us to start in the Harangue dance camp, actually.
And that was 1982? So, that's 30 years. Is this the 30th anniversary of Harangue this summer?
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit special, but at the same time, Harangue is kind of special all the time because it's so many things happening up there. But I hope we can add a little extra to it this year.
Well, the reason why we actually have these camp meetings is influenced heavily by Harangue and why that they were there. And it was a time where everybody can kind of sit and we could do shenanigans, but it feels like a camp. And was that the intention originally behind having camp meetings and actually having that, or did it grow more organically?
I think when you start with camp meetings, I mean, the reason is to give some basic information, and it takes 5 minutes or something. And then gradually you add a little something to it, and then another thing comes into it, and finally you're sitting there with a kind of talk show for an hour. so it kind of expands from nothing to something that is, now I think it's 5, 6, 7 people working full-time only to produce those meetings 1 hour per day. So it's kind of a lot to do around them nowadays.
They're awesome to experience, that's all I have to say. Can we show that picture up here? I have a special picture of you, Lunnart, that I kind of just want to know what's going on.
I'm working in the kitchen.
Is this, I mean, people have promo shots, and I think this certainly takes the cake. That was horrible. I'm sorry. It wasn't premeditated. It just happened. So what was this for? Was this for a performance? Or?
No, I mean, for many years, for 25 years, I performed in a group called the Rhythm Hotshots, later on Harlem Hotshots. And this was, I think this was one of our first promotion pictures. And we had a little tap number. I have tap shoes on. I think you can see that. And by some reason we were dressed like chefs in this number, so it's actually 2 more guys in this picture. So this is me in the center, but the other 2 guys have obviously disappeared in this version. But it's a promotion picture.
What year was that?
I would guess 91, 92, something like that.
That's 1991, everybody. Like, I mean, the average, I think most of the people here probably started swing dancing fairly in the last several years or something like that. And when was the first time you ever swing danced?
It's hard to say exactly when it was, but in Sweden there was a revival for rock and roll music in the late 70s. That led to that some of us found out that this dance that we were doing, we called it the jitterbug. It was not really a dance that should have been done to 50s kind of music, because finally we understood we had to go back to jazz music, we had to look into what people did in Harlem and so on. And then I would say we are probably back in 1983. That was probably the year when we discovered that this dance that we were doing, it was actually called the Lindy Hop, and it had something to do with African American culture.
That's awesome. We actually have a video that we wanted to show you that you haven't seen yet. It was it's the Harangue promotional video for this year, and we wanted to have everybody see it because they actually had over in the Snowball. It's a New Year's event similar to this in Sweden. They actually had the 30th anniversary announcement for Harangue, and we wanted to show this to y'all. So if you could pull that up, that would be great. I think we're doing a little computer switcheroo.
I didn't feel like it was more important. I just felt like it was something I wanted to do. I just wanted to dance.
And if something is missing, we can find it.